morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, November 18th, 2016. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by the People's Champ, Matt Baxendell. Bax, first question is something I've asked people all week. I haven't had a chance to ask you yet. I imagine I know your answer. Will Ohio State make the college football playoff, no questions asked, if they finish 11-1 but do not win the Big Ten championship?
The answer to that is 99% yes. And the only reason I hedge is for a very, very small reason is that I could see the committee doing something really stupid if given the opportunity. That said, you're looking at an Ohio State team if they go 11-1 that will have 4 wins over top 15, top 20 type teams in that School of North, Wisconsin, at Oklahoma at night, by the way, and then you of course have the Nebraska demolition. You have an OSU team that will be on a roll, and their only loss would be to a top 10 team. That kind of resume is exactly the kind of resume the committee has when they were encouraging people to have harder schedules. So the only reason I say there's a 1% chance they don't is that if something crazy happens, like West Virginia only having 1 loss and winning the Big 12, then they have a little bit of an argument. But even then, I don't think so. In a much more realistic sense, Ohio State's going to be sitting at 11-1 saying that they have 2 wins over teams that won Power 5 conferences on the road at night. Because I expect Wisconsin would beat Penn State, and I think Oklahoma's going to win the Big 12. To me, that's a pretty damn good resume, and honestly, it also helps that you're Ohio State. Everybody knows you have the talent, and right now they're in cold-blooded killer mode, running people over. If they do that the last 2 games of the season here, then you can make that 99 100% whether West Virginia loses 1 game or not.
Louisville lost last night to our buddy Tom Herman. Does that help Ohio State at all or not?
Well, it makes me laugh. No, I think...
Exactly.
I mean, like, to be honest, I always thought Louisville was a one-man band. Like, they kind of remind me of a poor man's Auburn from a few years ago where Cam Newton was the entire team, right? Except, Louisville has a team that, doesn't really stack up as well talent-wise behind their superstar player. So them losing, it's funny. It's a shame for Houston that they blew 2 extraordinarily winnable games. Otherwise, they might be in the playoff discussion. But I never thought Louisville was going to go ahead of Ohio State anyways. I mean, in reality, what this does is this opens up the opportunity for other teams. If Wake Forest, who has a winning record, inexplicably upsets Clemson this week, then Louisville would have a real opportunity to get into the ACC championship, and that might knock the ACC out of things. So, if anything, it helps Ohio State. And it also helps Ohio State because, I'm sorry, Lamar Jackson can't be the shoe-in to win the Heisman Trophy when he drops a turd in the middle of November in one of their most publicized games. So, let's start talking Curtis Samuel here for some Heisman Trophy candidacy because somebody needs to win this thing this year. And with Lamar Jackson falling on his face, it's wide open again.
Yeah, you stole my thunder there a little bit. I think I told you the topics ahead of time. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. No, I'm kidding. Curtis Samuel for Heisman. He doesn't get much talk, if any talk, outside of Buckeye Nation. This guy is piling up unbelievable stats. 750 receiving yards, over 600 rushing yards. He's the only player in the country with over 500 receiving yards and over 500 rushing yards, and he's well over both marks, 13 touchdowns. He averages a first down every time he touches the ball. He should at least be in the discussion. I'm not saying he should win it, but Curtis Samuel should absolutely be in the discussion, Bax.
Curtis Samuel could possibly this year be the first player ever at the FBS level to have 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving in the same season. Think about that. Now, if Ohio State was playing in a Big Ten championship game, I would tell you he's almost a lock to be that. But since he's we'll have to say it's still up in the air. But you're talking about a guy who realistically could, by the end of the regular season, be sitting around 1,000 receiving yards and 800 rushing yards and 15 to 18 touchdowns. I mean, if he has 2 huge weeks here, you have to include him. Ohio State is, who's going to win it otherwise? Right? Ohio State's a team that's playing at an extraordinarily high level, and Curtis Samuel is easily our best player, right? So who else is involved out there? You're going to tell me Jalen Hurts should be the Heisman Trophy winner? No. Lamar Jackson was the shoe, and I still think he's the favorite because nobody else knows who to vote for, so enough people are going to have him high on their ballots regardless. But there's not a big name out there that's just running away with Heisman contention this year. There's not the person that's powering a top 10 team that is a shoe-in. It's not like there's a Troy Smith out there this year. There's no Tim Tebow. Curtis Samuel needs to be in this discussion. And if Ohio State goes out and pounds Michigan State, I wouldn't be surprised to see Samuel get another couple touchdowns and put up some big yardage, and then you hear some hype going into that OSU game versus that School Up North. And by the way, game day will be here for that one if it's 2 versus 3. So maybe we can employ Kirk Herbstreit to start getting some hype for our all-purpose superstar. It's just not the Percy Harvin position anymore. It's the Curtis Samuel position.
We're not going to spend too much time talking about Ohio State basketball, but I want to throw this in. Buckeyes beat Providence last night at the Shot, 72-67. Ohio State is now 3-0 on the season, but they have not looked that good. I thought they looked in spurts. They played well last night, but they kept allowing Providence to hang around. You know, I said coming into the year I was very optimistic about this team. I didn't think they would challenge for a Big Ten title, but I thought they would be, you know, 5th or better in the Big Ten. You know, and maybe they still will be 5th or better. I still think they're going to make the NCAA tournament, but they don't look as good as I was hoping. There was all this talk from Thad Matta in the offseason about, you know, getting back to who he is, and, you know, I'm just seeing the same old team, though. I really am.
Well, you know, you can't change 11 spots, right? I mean, it's mostly the same group as last year. So, it's early, and they're 3-0, and you can't write them off for not winning by enough against a decent team like Providence, but I'm not super optimistic either. I mean, let's be real honest here. It's been a long time since Dave's D'Angelo Russell. So, if the Buckeyes do well this year at hoops, they'll be thrilled, but I think like most of Buckeye Nation, we're not going to really be focusing on hoops too much with the big back-to-back games against that school of North Carolina. The hoops has a little bit of time to work in anonymity right now and get their issues worked out before most people start paying major attention.
Speaking of football, let's get back to that and finish the show with some Ohio State at Michigan State predictions. Buckeyes favored by 22 tomorrow. High noon, ESPN, but the weather's supposed to be bad, which gives me some pause. I'll throw my score out there first. I have 31-13 Buckeyes. I have the Buckeyes winning but not covering the spread. Give me your final score and how you think this is going to play out, Bax.
All right, so like I've been saying, I'm predicting 31-20 officially for every game because it seems to result in 62-3 victories every time. Now, realistically speaking, after I've officially logged 31-20 as my prediction, realistically speaking, you're looking at, I think, something like 45-13. This is not the same Michigan State team, you know? The bottom line, this is the 3-7 team we're playing at against on the road at noon, and this is the type of team Ohio State should drill. If it wasn't those green helmets on the other side of the football, none of us would be thinking very much about this other than, yeah, they're going to get smacked. Realistically speaking, if you look what they've done this year, they're the equivalent of an Illinois, a Purdue, and a Rutgers. I mean, at least maybe they're a little better than Rutgers after last week. But there's not much really going in their favor right now. They're a one-dimensional team. They're the type of team Ohio State should absolutely blast. And that's what I expect. Even with the weather being slightly bad, as long as they don't go into this whole shell of play calling thing that I don't see Urban doing since he's calling the plays, I think Ohio State goes out and we make this game very uninteresting by the second half, which is perfectly fine by me.
Great stuff as always out of the People's Champ, Matt Baxendell. You can catch his column, The Bucket, every Sunday. I'm sure this Sunday is going to be an epic version of The Bucket, so make sure you check that out if you're a Bucknuts subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, we have a free until January 1st offer. Make sure you take advantage of that. No strings attached. Bucknuts subscriber for free until January 1st. Thanks again to Matt Baxendell, and thanks to all the listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear some Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.